Well, number one, I want to say thank you. I mean, I know it's hot out there. There's a lot going on. And the effort is greatly appreciated by everybody. Number two, we encountered some issues still with splatter and things like that. And as part of our ongoing commitment to further the people and further ourselves become better, we teamed up with Lincoln today, who is also participating in sharing the bill for lunch with us. This is Michelle. She'll kind of start you guys off.
Okay. Good morning, guys. My name's Michelle Adams. I'm with Lincoln Electric, and I'm based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And I've been with Lincoln for 15 years. I'm originally from Ohio. Don't hold that against me. I'm by degree a welding engineer, but by trade I'm just sales. I don't have the skill that you guys do. I know what it sounds like. I know kind of what it looks like, but I don't have the helmet time. So I do know what it takes, but I don't necessarily have the skill. But I'd like to come in and show you guys a little bit about kind of what you're seeing. I think this class, just spending some time and explaining the different variables of what goes on in welding. Sometimes if you see it, and somebody takes the time to explain it to you, it makes more sense. Sorry. So I've done this class many times, and I've had folks afterwards that come up to me and say, hey, listen, nobody ever took the time to explain to me exactly what each of these knobs did. I kind of just mess with it until it comes out right, but if I'd have known a lot of what was told here, he said, I would have been a better welder much sooner. Okay? So I do try to keep it interactive. So if I call on you, give me some ideas, some answers, and I think that way it keeps it more active and everybody learns a little bit more. Okay? How long has everybody been welding? A while? 5 years? 10 years?
17.
17 years. Okay, what's the newest one? What's the youngest one? A year? Anybody 2 years?
I had about 3 years before I came out here.
So you're fairly new. A little bit. Okay. All right, so we're going to assume that you guys don't have a lot of welding knowledge, and let's start from ground up. I don't want to assume anything, okay? Let's start out, first of all, the basic parts of your weld. All right, who can tell me what A and A would be here as well, what that part would be? These are important terms because when Mike tells you, I want you to watch this or correct this, you need to know when he says that, what he's talking about. Because if you guys aren't communicating on the same plane, nothing ever gets fixed. Okay? So what's part A, if you had to guess?
Wall.
A wall? Anybody else?
Weld face.
That's a toe. Toe of your welds. Okay? So when you're watching and you've got, and we'll talk about this maybe later, a little indication here where you've got a little dig right along there, and you say it's undercut. You heard the term undercut? Undercut always happens at your toes. Okay? Who can tell me what this part is right here? When you look at it, what do you look at?
Face. That was what I thought you were talking about a minute ago when I said weld face.
The face is always what you look at. When you're done, when you look at it, you're looking at the face of the weld. You always want that to be what they call a flat face. If you can get it fairly flat, great. You never want a concave where it's caved in. And if you get a weld that looks like this, it's really kind of a waste. It's okay, but it's a waste because the only thing structurally that helps you is just this area right here. So all that extra is wasted time and wasted filler material. Okay? All right, what are these? What's this dimension here? What's this and that? What do you think your weld stands on?
Weld joint.
What do you stand on?
Base. Base.
Those are your legs. Okay? Ideally, if you've got your torch angles correct, everything's at 45, if you come right in here and split that difference, This leg should be equal to that leg. If it's not, if your torch angle is off, and you may get a weld that looks like this, maybe you're hitting down here, right? So now this leg's gonna be much longer than that leg. So again, that's a waste situation because all that structurally would be through here. So this is the only part that's used. Okay? So you want equal legs. All right, and the most important, what is this little area right there?
The heel. Heel.
The heel? No, close. When you say, when you put your weld in, what do you want to hit? You always want to hit the, you ever heard the term root? Okay? So when you come in at an angle or the joint, you always want to go right in and hit that root. If you make a weld, and I don't know, have you guys ever done like micro or macro etches? Cut a weld and looked at it?
We haven't done it physically here, but we looked at a
Okay.
video about it.
I mean, if you have a, let's say a T-joint, where you have a plate, looks like this, and you put your weld in, and let's say you cut it, you make a long weld, and they put it in a chop saw and cut it in half, and then you look at it from the side. Sometimes what you'll see if you don't hit the root is it'll kind of look like this. And there'll be an area right there where you didn't get enough penetration. And they say that you didn't get your angles and you didn't put your torch right into the root and hit that and burn that. So I could see air right through that bottom of that corner of the weld. It's very important that you hit that and get good penetration. Okay? So if Mike says make sure you follow your toes, make sure your legs are equal, everybody kind of makes sense now a little bit? Okay, what variables do we have in welding? I've listed the major ones. Does everybody understand this means wire feed speed? Okay, so you've got, this is a knob, and this is a knob, right? Those are the only two knobs that you've got. Now, if you're welding and your buddy says, give me more heat, I need more heat, which knob are you going to turn for your buddy? You're turning voltage.
Voltage.
You're turning voltage.
Wire.
Voltage? Voltage. That's your heat. Okay? This is your penetration knob. If you get nothing else out of this, understand the difference between these two knobs. Wire feed speed, always and forever, controls your depth of penetration. As your wire comes in, it controls how far below the plate that's going to dig. So this, I call this dig. Imagine a water hose. You turn the water hose up and you hold it into a mud puddle or dirt puddle. And the faster you turn that water on, the more it's going to dig down into that puddle, correct? Same thing with your wire feed speed. When you want more dig and more penetration, you're going to turn up that wire feed speed. Okay? So remember, wire feed speed controls this dimension in your weld. Now, voltage is heat. Voltage is going to control this dimension. Okay? And let me explain why. You got 3 plates here. Okay? You got 3 torches. I'm assuming I can't see if they're all the same arc length, but let's say this one is at 25, this one is 27, and this one's 23. All right? So 25, you got an arc length that looks like this. Maybe a puddle looks like that. All right? Now your buddy turns up the heat. 27 volts. Now what happens? You got a longer arc, right? Assuming, now this is assuming that you're steady. It's assuming that you're not doing this while your buddy's turning the knob, because otherwise you're messing up, okay? I'm assuming that you're keeping a steady arc. When you immediately jump up 2 volts, that lengthens that arc length. So your arc length went from here up to here. But understand what that does. When your arc length gets higher, what happens to your arc cone?
Why?
It gets wider, right? So that's why I say it controls this dimension. So as you go up in voltage, your arc gets wider. But what happens underneath? You only got so much energy, right? You got so much energy that goes into that puddle. And if the energy is up top, there's not much energy underneath. All right, so what's going to happen with this one?
It's gonna be smaller.
It's going to be smaller, it's correct. It's going to be shorter, so your arc length maybe is going to look like that. It's going to have a real narrow focus cone. What's going to happen underneath?
It's gonna be wider.
It's going to be deeper, right? The energy's got to go somewhere. So if the energy isn't up here, it's got to be below. Right? So this is what arc length does. Your arc length and your voltage now went from here, instead of here, it went shorter. Does that make sense to everybody? So voltage is going to control what dimension? Your width of your puddle, right? Wire feed speed is going to control your depth of penetration. So if you're looking at your weld and you don't see a wide enough weld, if you see a weld that looks like this, which knob are you turning? Why do you say, who said wire feed speed? Okay, why would you do that?
Push it on down there.
I'm sorry?
Push it on down in there.
Push it down in there. Okay, when you get a weld that looks like this, as opposed to a weld that looks like this, this is kind of humped up, right? When you get a weld that looks like it's not wetting out,
Cold, isn't it?
yeah, it's cold, right? So what do you do when it's cold?
Turn up the heat.
Turn up the heat. So what you do is you turn up your voltage a little bit. And not so much as in general, a half a volt. As a rule of thumb, a half a volt will get you to wet it out a little bit. Okay? So you go 25, maybe you would try 25 and a half, 26 volts, and see how that works. Okay? Next thing is your travel speed. Travel speed is how fast your hand's moving. So if you're moving at a slow speed, you're probably going to look like this, right? If you're moving a little bit fast, well, if you're moving too fast, this is too fast, sorry. And when you slow down a little bit, it gives the heat a chance to wet it out. Okay? So if you go really fast, it looks like you just laid down a rope, doesn't it? So, a lot of these, in truth, a lot of these variables all kind of knit together. So it's hard, it's tough to say just one variable will fix your problem. It may be you look at your weld and say, it's kind of roped up. I can either turn up my voltage a little bit, or I can turn down my wire feed speed. And that's where maybe you get with Mike and say, hey, or I can slow down my travel. Ideally, we like, welds like to be hot and fast. So if you can turn up your voltage a little bit and travel, that's the way you should go. You're going to get more productivity. Company makes money, everybody's happy. We keep jobs, we keep more business coming in. At the end of the day, guys, it's about making money. For you, company, everybody. So quality makes a big difference. We can do the right thing, figure out what the issue is, figure a way to speed up production, everybody wins. Okay? So travel speed. When you're looking through your helmet and you start seeing this with your weld, and you're heading this direction, what's that mean? When your these are going to be your toes, right? Of your weld. You see that glowing worm, right? When you're welding, you want to stay on the front edge of that puddle. You want to stay on the front edge going this way. Don't get back. There's ripples the whole way. Don't get caught in the back side of that puddle. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't have that correct crackle. If you stay on that front edge of that puddle and you're going forward, it'll make a big difference. Now, you guys are running straight stringers, right? So you want to put a little bit. Here's dead center. You want to